Hello everyone, welcome back to our episode series where we talk about how people actually pay in emerging markets. So today we'll be traveling to Kenya in this episode 4. So Kenya guys, the moment you hear about Kenya, the first thing which comes to mind is wildlife safari. So Kenya is one of the biggest tourism destination in Africa. And in my mind, lions, cheetahs, elephants, rhinos, they all are coming right now. And we'll be covering how people actually pay in Kenya. So Kenya is no different than any other African country. 20 years ago, if you were in Kenya, cash was a king, like other African countries which we covered. Nairobi is the capital of Kenya and more than 60 million people live in Kenya. But you can think like other than capital, a lot of people were living in villages and the banks were not available in each and every part of the Kenya. So that's why there was a big challenge in Kenya 20 years ago. If you have to send money to your old parents at home, you have to ask a bus driver or you have to ask a friend who is going that way to send money. You have to pay the school fees of kids. You have to actually go to the school. So that was the problem, and that's where Safaricom in 2007 built M-PESA, the digital wallet of Kenya. So yes, in 2007, Kenya got digital wallet. Yes. Kenya didn't move from cash to cards. It directly moved to digital wallets because of the young population in Kenya. More than half of the population of Kenya is under 25 guys. So everyone has a mobile phone and they like digital wallets. And now M-PESA became a leader in Kenya. And you can go to any local agent. Earlier, like in 20 years ago, you can just give the cash to an agent. That's how M-PESA started. Now M-PESA is one of the leaders with 90% market share. Whether you are going to a restaurant, whether you are buying anything over the e-commerce, M-PESA is must. And then Airtel Money also picked up recently with around 9 to 10% market share. In addition to that, in Kenya, bank transfers are also instant with PESA link system, and they are also being actively used by consumers. Cards are picking up with a small market share of 3 to 5%. So if you are building an e-commerce store, or if you're a global brand, or if you're traveling to Kenya, I think M-PESA and Airtel Money and bank transfers are the 3 ways how people pay. Just with M-PESA, you'll be mostly sorted. But if you're an e-commerce brand or a global brand, I think you should have all the options on your checkout page. That will really improve your GMV. Let me know guys which country you want me to cover next. I really enjoy reading about and traveling to these countries. Let's stay tuned and write me in comments if there's any country you want me to cover next. Thank you.